Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the PG Show, where we talk about all things college football. And today we have another one for you. I have Landon Sides joining us today.
I'm
How are
doing
you
great.
doing?
Thank you for having me.
No, I appreciate you coming on. So let's just go ahead and get the air out of the room. Landon is joining us in Norman, Oklahoma tomorrow, Saturday, and it's going to be a nice one. All the boys from Denton Guyer are going to be here. So come on, tell us a little bit about that. What
You
are
know,
you expecting?
Jackson, he talks really big about OU, about Norman, about the about what it's like there. High energy. It's just, he said it's a lot of fun up there, and that's one of the big reasons why he chose there. The coaches and everything. He says they're great there. He says, like I said, energy's up. He talks really highly about it. So I'm pumped to see what it's like, and I'm pumped to just go up there with all my friends. Just have a good time and see what it is.
Yeah, no, definitely get pumped. If you have you ever been to a game
I
in
have
Norman
not.
before? I'm
No,
assuming probably
no.
not. Yeah, it's a different experience. Have you ever been to a college football game before, whether it's
Yes, yeah.
Bama,
My
Texas,
brother,
or
he went to A&M, and I used to go to games with him at A&M all the time.
okay? I've never been to Kyle Field, so I don't know the difference. But I will say Norman's a different animal,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the evenings. I wouldn't say this one's a true night game because it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be dark when it kicks off. But it's still going to get pretty rowdy. And with the new LED lights they just put in, I would expect the fans to be pretty awesome. So it's pretty great. Yeah, we're packing that place about 86,000 people. So not 100,000,
Oh
but it still gets pretty loud. Like we got 100,000 in there. So you and the boys will get it. So are y'all driving down together? Or are you guys
yeah.
going down separately
So
with your
I'm actually gonna
families?
be going with Peyton and Eli, and then I think Jackson's gonna be going by himself. But we're all gonna meet up, I think.
Yeah. So come on, you're pushing Peyton to come here, right?
I mean, I I don't know much. He really doesn't talk about it much, but I mean, wherever he chooses to go, he's he's just gonna choose where he wants to. At the end of the day, like me, we can say whatever we want, but I mean, he's gonna choose what he wants to do.
Listen, it's funny because we have a 5-star quarterback committed to us, but Peyton Bowen might be one of the highest, most talked about
Mhm.
recruits that we've had in a long time because he's committed to Notre Dame. People are like, dude, just go ahead and flip your commitment. Just come on, just do it. It's hilarious. And Jackson brought him on an Instagram live. What was it, like a month ago? And he was asking those questions, and he was just steering away from it. He was like, nope, not answering those. And yeah, it's pretty great. So it'd
Mhm.
be great to have y'all down there, and especially Jackson, especially
Mhm.
now that people know who he is, and Sooner fans are familiar with him. It's definitely going to be a little rowdy. Everybody knows he's going to be down there now. So Brandon Drum and Parker Thune have done a
Mhm.
good job at advertising that. So, but let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit more about you. Um, Jackson Arnold's great, but let's talk about you. So I look at your 247, and it shows that you actually also
Mhm.
compete in track and field. Tell us a little bit more about
Yes,
that. It
yes.
looks like you're a two
So
sport
track
athlete.
and field, a couple of my times. I mean, my main time is my 100. I ran a 10.5 in that, so that's what's brought me quite a bit of attention. And then my long jump is actually a 22.10, so almost 23 feet long jump. And so that's what's brought me a lot of attention in football for sure. Definitely is my speed. Definitely helps.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that. I went back and watched some of your highlights on Max Preps, which for those of you, you guys can get that down in the link below. But I went back and watched a lot of those, and it looks like you're really explosive off the line of scrimmage, and you a lot of the time can either make those cuts or kind of
Mhm.
lose the wide receiver within 5 yards. So that's pretty great. I mean, I go through and I look at your statistics on Max Prep. So it looks like you're the leading receiver on the team with 372 yards
Mhm.
so far this year. That's pretty
Yes,
good.
sir.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit more about just your journey in the recruitment. If you could go to any school in Division 1, even if it's not OU, like where do you want to go, right? Um, what has
You
that
know,
recruitment been like for
it
you?
definitely started off a little slower than I would have wanted for sure. But, you know, because last year I just didn't have enough film that a lot of coaches would have wanted. So that definitely held me back a little bit. But once this season started, once I started getting film up, that's when it started heating up a lot for me. You know, a couple more coaches stuff started talking to me, and everything's just definitely been heating up. Just from all the film that I've been sending out and all the stuff I've been doing in game, that it's definitely helped a lot now that I finally have stuff to show coaches and not just going off word like people's word. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely heating up.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit easier when you've got guys that can back it up and be like, no, you need to get this guy. Like, I got a good connection with him. And you had a pretty good game. What was it
Yes.
yesterday against Lancaster? You had 5 catches for 147 yards. It looks like you were averaging about 29.4 there. And let's be honest, you guys blew the brakes off of them 50-27. So seemed like an easy win for y'all. But how does that go as a recruit, as somebody that's trying to get recruited? How does that go with having to send your film out? Like, how do you get yourself
A
recognized?
lot with a lot with my coaches for sure. Like my coach Gallegos and Coach Heim, they definitely help me a lot. I send them stuff, they help me send stuff out, and then also just me reaching out. Like if I see a coach, like if I'm scrolling through my Twitter feed and I see a coach from any school and they're like, "Hey, send film," I go tap on them, DM them my track times and DM them my film, and I just give them all my stats, and that's just the main way that's just the main thing I'm doing stuff right now. But definitely coaches helping is the number one thing right now for sure. Coach Gallegos and Coach Heim are definitely helping a lot, and also my receiver coaches, Coach Joseph and Coach Wetzel, they're all helping a lot too. But that's the main thing that I'm doing right now is just sending stuff out and then going through my coaches.
Yeah, so you've talked a lot about your coaches, and we know you're at Denton Guyer right now. I believe, did I see something that you used to go somewhere else,
Yeah,
or
so I used
have
to
you
live down
always
on the
been at Denton
coast at a
Guyer?
little 3A school. I used to go to a little 3A school called Industrial, Vanderbilt Industrial. Um, but my dad, him and Rodney Webb, they played football in college and they had coached together. But then my dad went down to the coast when he had an opportunity to be a head coach down there, and he came up to me one day and he was like, "Hey, uh, Coach Webb called me up, said he wanted me to come coach with him at Guyer, and you'd have a chance to play 6A ball." And I looked at him, I was like, "All right, let's do it." You know, I'm pumped. I want to do that. You know, because sports have been my life, and I'm not down in 3A ball for sure, like whatsoever. I'm just saying, like 6A ball is just a whole nother level. It is a definitely top tier. Texas 6A football is the highest played high school football like in the nation, you know. But yeah, no, he told me that, and I was pumped. I got right to work. So
Yeah, it's definitely different when you have those different divisions, and it's kind of like in college, right? You know, you have the SEC, you have the Big Ten, the Big 12, Pac-12. They all play differently, but like everybody sees it as the
yeah,
SEC is the most elite, and it's kind of like that in Texas, right? You're talking about 6A, like it is like the most elite. Like you go out there, you're playing with the best competition, and so yeah, that's pretty great. So tell us a little bit more, a little bit about like if you got an offer from one school, any school in the country, like they came and offered you, and you had to just say, yeah, like I would go there right away. Like it's the school of my dreams. I'd go there right away.
definitely A&M.
Who would that be?
Could just because my brother went there and I've been there, and I know College Station like the back of my hand, and I just love the environment there. Definitely, if they came up to me, I'd shake their hand right on the spot and be like, "All right, you got me."
You'd be like, okay,
Yes,
Jimbo,
sir.
you got me here. So So what do you think about A&M? There's been a lot of conversation this year around, their NIL stuff. And obviously they had that first game against Sam Houston State, which, I have my questions. Everybody else has their questions because it's like, hey, is Haynes King the right guy? Are they going to be able to put it together? You have all these defensive linemen that you bring in the best class that we've ever seen. But, there's just a lot of concern, can Jimbo put it together? Jimbo has this reputation for, kind of getting things messy and then leaving. What do you think about Texas A&M? Like, do you think they're going to rise to that top tier of college football and be a national championship team? Or do you just think like, oh, we had a good class, we're going to be good for a couple of years?
I definitely think that they're honestly maybe even a little underrated right now. I think that they might have got off to a rocky start, a slow start. Things are not the best, but I for sure think that coming up in the next month or two, I definitely think that they will rise, and a lot of teams will see that they are one of the top teams in the nation. And I think that Jimbo's going to do a good job. And I definitely think Haynes King is the right guy. I think Haynes should have started over Kellen, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I've actually, and you're probably going to look at me like, but I've actually got them potentially losing to
Really?
Appalachian State this week because I know it's SEC and you got to group fight, but Appalachian State's a damn good team. And, they've got a returning quarterback in Chase Bryce and, some receivers and a running back that, they're just all studs. They're experienced. And even if they don't win, they're going to make it close and probably cover that game. And I think it's going to be a little more close than Texas A&M fans want that one to be. But yeah, no, I'm excited for OU to get to the SEC because I really started getting to football probably around 2007, 2008. And so that was really at the years that OU really started to put themselves on the map as a national title team. And I never got to make it out to watch Texas A&M at Kyle Field. So I'm excited for us to get back to the SEC so I can travel out there and see what this hype is all about because I've heard that it's an incredible game day experience. But go ahead and just tell us a little bit more about yourself, right? Let's start with this one because this is a fan favorite for recruits. Who is your favorite college football player of all time, current or past, and why?
I mean, not necessarily now, but when he was in college, Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football. I don't know. I just loved watching him. He's so electric. Like he was the college quarterback during his time. Like watching him, everybody was just up in their seats watching the whole time, like eyes glued to the screen or like eyes glued to the field. Like you like, at Kyle Field, you never sit down, and just having that and having Johnny Manziel there it was just a different experience. So definitely my favorite to watch would definitely be Johnny Manziel for sure.
Yeah, I remember watching Johnny Manziel, and man, like he was it's funny because you can have people like Johnny Manziel that look great in college, and you think, oh, this guy is going to go be great in the upper leagues, and then they just don't turn out to be as great as you thought they were going to be. But there's just great college players. And so, yeah, Johnny Manziel is probably going to go down as one of the greatest college players and one of the most fun players to watch, especially after beating Alabama. I mean, you beat Alabama, Nick Saban. You're just cementing your legacy right there. So, but go ahead and give everybody a little insight. What are some of your favorite hobbies outside of football?
Definitely basketball is my number one thing. If I'm going to be honest, if I was 6'8", 6'9", I would definitely pursue basketball over football. If I'm being honest, it's just my favorite like sport to play in general. It's just so fun to me. But basketball is definitely my number one thing. And then I also go rock climbing a lot with a couple of my buddies. Yeah, no, it's weird, but I don't know what it is, but it's just the adrenaline rush when you're that high, and I don't know, it's just fun.
That's interesting. No, that's interesting because I don't know if you guys have them in Texas, but we have a place here in Oklahoma. It's called
Hmm.
Threshold Climbing and Fitness, and it's an indoor rock climbing place, and it's legit. So you at first you get certified. You just you get on like a little rope thing, but it's like you're tied onto like a
Yeah.
like a harness thing. You can't fall, like you won't fall. But then like you can get to the point like where you can free climb, and I see people do it, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, because it gets pretty high up, and I'm like I can't do it. So that's pretty interesting. Where's some of your favorite places to
Well,
go
the
rock
place that I
climbing?
go right now, it's called Summit, and it's in Grapevine, and it's like it's exactly what you said. Like they have the free climbing things, they have the manuals, they have the um, automatic ones where you don't have to have anyone else holding you up. You know, you just strap in and you just go up and down. But yeah, no, Summit and Grapevine is the place that we go most of the time.
Yeah, no. Well, you know what? If all of you Denton Guyer boys end up out here, y'all can go out to Threshold Climbing and Fitness. Hey, maybe even you guys can make it a whole team activity and get the team to pay for it. Because I know they like doing those. They like doing those team building activities here in Oklahoma. So, hey, if any of you Oklahoma folks are watching this, use that as a recruiting tactic here. But yeah, so what's your biggest motivation? So when you go step on the field, when you're in practice, like what drives you? What's your biggest motivation to go out there and just perform at the
Um,
highest level?
I would definitely say just like this being my whole life, like the amount of work that I've put in, the amount of like film that I've studied, like just the amount of time that I've put into sports and like just football itself is definitely a huge motivation because like I've known from a young kid that like I wanted to do sports and I didn't want to do anything else because it has just been like it's so fun to me that I just can't picture myself doing anything else. So when I go out there, I think I'm like, all right, what do I got to do to make it to the next level to keep on doing what I love? You know, like what I got to work on to make it to the next level to do what I love. It's all about what I'm doing to play football for longer is definitely one of my biggest motivations.
Yeah, so one of the things that I always think about with recruits, and I always see them come into college, and their bodies are never college football or at least Power Five football ready, right? They usually like to sit them a year, get them built and stuff. What goes in from high school, like building your body to play football, to college? And is there a way for you guys to be able to go in there and prepare yourselves a little bit better? Because I mean, I'm sure if you're building your body, like just that goes with anybody, like it prepares you to be a highly more recruited person because you can step on the field and make an impact day one. Give everybody a little insight to what that's like, because we see the videos in college, they
Yeah.
look ridiculous, and I'm
Well,
assuming it's similar to high school.
well, first of all, our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Keys, he is the real deal. If anyone's going to be ready to go play college first year, it's going to be anyone at Denton Guyer because we have Keys. But I think the number one thing that's different between college and high school is in college you just like you have food like available at you at all times if you go there for a sport or something, like they have food for you all times. You have meal swipes and all that. So I just think it makes it a lot easier when you just have food like at the tip of your fingers, you know what I mean? Like it if you can just consume and consume and consume, you're just going to be gaining weight and you're going to be lifting all the time. So I definitely think that's what makes it easier to get bigger and gain weight in college than high school for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. See, I really like asking these kind of questions because there's so much that I don't know about football, and a lot of people that watch these videos don't know about football and kind of what just goes into that preparation. So, obviously, you're working on that path to, find a home, find a school. And what is it like being recruited? What are some of the questions that you're going to ask coaches, or that you have already asked coaches when they are
Um,
recruiting you?
The number one thing I ask is like, what would me playing look like? Because you know, like, I would love to go to an Alabama, but at the same time, I don't want to sit for 3 years and play, like, only play my senior season. You know what I mean? Like, I'd want to go to a school where, you know, I go in there and I'm able to do the thing that I love, you know, like keep playing, keep doing my thing, and just do what is fun to me. So that is definitely the number one thing I ask about coaches is like, where do y'all see me when I first get here or even the next year?
Yeah, so how does that work for a place like OU where they've had a change in a coaching staff and maybe necessarily they don't have a lot of film to show you how they're going to use you? This has probably been with a lot of the people that have already committed to OU, we've asked this question. It's like, what is, like, how do they tell you and show you how they're going to use you when they don't have any film, right? Are they using Clemson film, Ole Miss film? What are they using? So, like, what would that look like for you in terms of a new coaching staff that maybe doesn't have film to show you of like, hey, like this is exactly how we want to use you on the field? And then also, no, we'll wait on the second question. We'll just do the first
I mean,
first.
I guess you got to go off their word, you know, like if they say, listen, like we have a bright future for you, we really think you could start playing off the bat, we really think you can start doing great things off the bat, well then you just got to trust them as good people, and you got to trust them to know that, like, all right, I'll trust you and I'll trust your word, and hopefully they're not lying to you. I mean, if they don't have anything to show, that's the last thing that you got, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I guess it helps, with a place like OU. I guess it helps to have, friends and everybody that have bought in and believe into that system as well. So, but you talked about how you don't want to go place and sit for 3 years and then only play a year for like your senior season, or play, 2 years after that, whatever it looks like is red shirt. That stuff gets complicated. People gets confuses people all the time. But what would it be like to go to a place like Alabama and for Nick Saban to tell you, yeah, like you're probably going to sit 2 or 3 years, but I can promise you in a year we're going to turn you into an NFL wide receiver because you're going to have developed for 3 years and you're going to be thrown passes from one of the top quarterbacks in the country. Like, I mean, does that intrigue you at all, or are you just like, no, like I want to go out there and I want to put out as much film as possible, regardless whether I'm sitting 3 years and watching some other great receivers?
No, that definitely does, and I'm not saying that if I got an Alabama offer, like I wouldn't go. Like I'm just saying, if that were the case, then what I would do is I would go and I would work my butt off, and I'd go and I'd try to get as big as possible. I'd try to get as fast as possible, and I'd try to show them that I can play within that 3 years than they normally thought I would. You know, like if I were to do that, I would definitely have to show them that I'm ready to play and I can play within that 3 years that they thought I'd be sitting, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's an interesting one. I haven't heard that one before, but that's interesting. Yeah. And the Bama factor is always interesting because with Nick Saban, it's just a different, like, it's a different type of recruiting. Nick Saban tells you you're going to sit 2 to 3 years. You're going to be like, okay, Nick, I'll do what you want. But if, Jimbo tells you you're going to do that, you're going to be like, come on, your receivers, Alabama receivers, not the same. Like, I might be able to start over your receivers. So, but yeah, well, hey, as we go, when we start to wrap this up, obviously you're coming out to Norman and you're coming out with the boys this weekend. What is one thing that you really want to get out of this weekend and you really want OU to show you, whether it's from coaching staff?
I would just love to see how it is in Norman, I'd love to see if it's electric, see if it's fun and everything. And also, I just want to go and meet the coaches firsthand, and talk to them about football, talk to them about everything, and just see what they're like. And, just maybe try to show them a little more film or show them different things that, me and Jackson have in common, me and Peyton have in common, or like all the connections that we have, like I just want to go up there and talk to them firsthand.